This video is all about why images of Allah are not permitted in Islam. One of the reasons that Muslims don't allow images of Allah is to do with the concept of Tawheed, the oneness of Allah. In this concept, it says that Allah has no equals or comparisons, and for many Muslims this is the single most important belief as it distinguishes Islam from the beliefs of Christianity and the Trinity. Muslims are therefore not permitted to make an image or idol of Allah, as this could be seen as an attempt to make an equivalent or comparison to him. In the Quran it says, "He is God, the one and the only, God the eternal absolute. He neither begets nor is born." The concept of Tawheed links to our second point, that of shirk. The Quran makes it very clear that anyone who associates or worships anything other than Allah is committing the greatest unforgivable sin, the sin of shirk. The Quran says, "And whoever associates anything with Allah, he devises indeed a great sin." Because of this rule, Muslims won't have any images of Allah, prophets, the natural world, or human figures in mosques. Instead, they often use calligraphy, a form of artistic writing, to express their beliefs about Allah. Another reason that Muslims don't allow any images of Allah is because Allah is believed to be transcendent or beyond human understanding. Humans by their nature are imperfect. As such, any image we produce won't be able to fully express the almighty nature of Allah and will always fail to do him justice. To create an imperfect, flawed image of God would therefore be seen as a great disrespect to him. Instead, Muslims use the 99 names of Allah to try and understand his nature and character. The Quran makes it very clear that Allah is transcendent, saying, "The inexpressible, unfathomable, such as God, no human vision can encompass him." Sunni Muslims are particularly strong in their beliefs regarding art and drawing. Many Muslims within the Sunni tradition not only prohibit images of Allah, but will also not allow drawings of other humans or the natural world. This is because they believe that Allah is the creator of all things. Only he has the power to design and create living things, which he does in the best possible way. Many Muslims therefore argue that if they were to try and draw or create images of people or animals or the natural world, it could imply that they're imitating God, which would be seen as disrespectful. Shia Muslims are less strict about the images of humans. They will allow images, provided there's no possibility of them becoming an object of worship, and that there's no possibility of them being used to disrespect Allah or Islam. The Quran makes it clear that only Allah really is the intelligent designer. It says the work of Allah who has perfected everything he created. Therefore, anything that humans create is fundamentally imperfect. Issues regarding Islam and their use of images has been widely publicised in the news. This has been seen most prominently in the case of Charlie Hebdo, a French secular magazine based in Paris. In 2011, the Charlie Hebdo magazine hit international news when their offices were petrol bombed after publishing anti-Muslim images. The magazine had previously, in 2006, been taken to court over a similar issue. In 2015, the same French magazine, Charlie Hebdo, published an issue with a cartoon image of Prophet Muhammad on the cover. Muslims were inevitably upset that the secular magazine had continued to publish images that they felt belittled and disrespected both Prophet Muhammad and Islam generally. This time, the consequences of this publication was much more severe. It led to 3 days of terror in France, where gunmen stormed into the Charlie Hebdo offices, killing a total of 17 people. According to the BBC, the gunmen shouted, "We have avenged the Prophet Muhammad."
Well, President Hollande has declared a national day of mourning across France tomorrow. He said that the raid was an attack on the freedom of expression enjoyed in France, and no publication exploited the freedom like Charlie Hebdo, launching satirical barbs at all religions and none. But it was its repeated lampooning of Islam that triggered today's bloodbath. This declaration of solidarity, "Je suis Charlie," has now been shared hundreds of thousands of times on social media. Correspondent Alex Thompson looks now at the struggle between Western freedoms and Islamist diktat.
Charlie Hebdo, Charlie Weekly is about controversy. One of a tiny handful of media organisations on the planet not afraid to satirize Islam, including publishing images of Muhammad expressly forbidden by Islam. Firebombed in 2011 after its Sharia edition listed Muhammad as editor-in-chief. An earlier magazine had Muhammad on the cover in tears, wailing, "It's hard to be loved by jerks." It is Channel 4 news policy not to show these cartoons. There is wider friction, of course, between the French state and Islam. As of April the 11th, 2011, it's illegal to wear a face-covering veil in public in France.
In the exam, you could get asked a D question regarding whether Muslims should express their faith through art. Many Muslims would agree and argue that calligraphy is a form of art. Whilst Muslims are not permitted to draw Allah, they often use calligraphy to express their religious beliefs. Mosques are often decorated with this form of artistic writing to show some of the 99 names of Allah. These help Muslims remember the qualities of Allah and develop their understanding of what He's like. Prophet Muhammad in the Hadith said, "There are 99 names of Allah. He who commits them to memory would get into paradise." In addition, some might point out that Allah has given people specific gifts which they should use to serve Him. Muslims, particularly those in Shia tradition, are less strict about the use of art. They argue that if Allah has given people an artistic talent, they should use it to help their religion. As such, as long as they're using their talents in a positive way, there's little problem with this. As the Quran says, the work of Allah who has perfected everything He created. As such, if Allah has designed them how He intended, then He's also given them the gifts He wanted. For example, one influential Muslim, Yusuf Islam, previously known as Cat Stevens, has been very proactive in promoting the use of creative talents like music to express faith. Finally, in contemporary Western society, there's growing interest in Islamic art. The British Museum has shown an exhibition of Islamic art showcasing prayer mats, calligraphy, banners and musical instruments, all of which express Muslim beliefs or have played a part in Muslim worship. This shows that art is a legitimate form of religious expression and has played a significant role in the Muslim way of life for centuries. However, there are those that argue that images of Allah and Muslim beliefs could be seen as idol worship. Muslims believe in the concept of Tawheed, the oneness of Allah. As such, any artistic representations of Allah are not permitted, as it could encourage Muslims to direct worship to an object or image rather than Allah Himself. The Quran makes it clear that Allah has no equals or comparisons or equivalents. As it said, He is God, the one and the only, God the eternal absolute. In addition, the Quran states that the association with or worship of anything other than Allah is the greatest sin. Consequently, artistic representations of Allah, or for Sunni Muslims any natural form Allah has created, would be wrong and punishable by Allah. The Quran says, "And whoever associates anything with Allah, he devises indeed a great sin." Another reason why Muslims might be uncomfortable with using art as a form of religious expression is because Allah is transcendent or beyond our human understanding. Humans by their nature are imperfect, and therefore any image we produce of Him or the natural world that He's designed won't be able to fully express the almighty nature of Allah and will always fail to do Him justice. As the Quran states, Allah is the inexpressible and unfathomable, such as God, no human vision can encompass Him. Finally, we've seen in recent years that artistic representations of religious beliefs can cause a great deal of upset and conflict in society. Whilst an artist might not intentionally mean any disrespect, you can never know how someone else may interpret an artistic representation. This has been seen in the case of the French magazine Charlie Hebdo, who published what was deemed to be anti-Muslim satirical cartoons on different occasions. The most recent occasion led to 3 days of terror attacks in France by a group of Islamic extremists. So again, I hope you found all that information useful. If you wanted to have a go at some test questions, then go on Quizlet. However, on the following slide, there's some potential exam questions you can have a go at. Good luck.